July 1943. The German Wehrmacht launches Operation Citadel, the largest tank offensive in history. Hundreds of armored vehicles roll across the Russian steppe. Hitler has gambled everything on this assault. The Kursk salient holds over 1 million Soviet soldiers. The Germans believe their new tanks will crush all resistance. They are fatally wrong. Standard text. A Soviet female medic tends to a wounded soldier behind the front lines. Medical services at Kursk were stretched beyond breaking point. Thousands of casualties poured into field stations every hour. These young women worked without sleep, often under direct enemy fire. Their dedication saved countless lives and inspired every soldier around them to keep fighting, no matter the cost or the odds they faced. Standard text. Soviet officers gather intelligence from local civilians near Kursk. Farmers reported tank movements. Railway workers counted German supply trains, and village elders mapped positions from memory. This intelligence network gave Soviet commanders a detailed picture of German intentions weeks in advance. When Operation Citadel launched on July 5th, the Red Army was fully prepared, waiting in 8 layers of fortified defense. Standard text. Soviet medical personnel treat a casualty in the open field as battle rages nearby. There was no safe place at Kursk. Shells fell everywhere. Aircraft struck without warning. These medics work with calm professionalism despite chaos all around. The Soviet Union lost over 800,000 soldiers at Kursk. Each number represents a human being, someone's son, husband, or father. The medics fought one life at a time. Standard text. A simple wooden cross marks a soldier's grave on the Kursk battlefield. No name is visible, no rank, no unit, no date. Just a cross driven into the Russian earth, one of hundreds of thousands across this vast killing ground. These men came from farms and cities, from families who waited for letters that would never arrive. This cross is not just a grave marker, it is the true face of war. Standard text. A tank crew member scans the horizon from his turret during the battle. Inside these steel machines, conditions were nightmarish. Intense heat, deafening noise, choking fumes, and constant terror. Tank crews at Kursk had a life expectancy measured in days. The psychological strain broke even experienced soldiers. Yet these men continued fighting, trusting their commanders' eyes to keep them alive one more hour. Standard text. The wreckage of destroyed tanks litters the Kursk battlefield. The famous engagement at Prokhorovka on July 12th saw hundreds of tanks clash at close range in chaotic, swirling combat. Soviet T-34s charged directly into Tiger tanks, accepting terrible losses to negate superior German gun range. The field afterward was a graveyard of twisted steel, still burning. Both sides claimed victory. Only one side withdrew. Standard text. Soviet infantry advances through the rubble of a destroyed position. When the German offensive stalled, the Red Army launched its massive counteroffensive, Operations Kutuzov and Rumyantsev. These operations smashed through exhausted German lines with overwhelming force. Soldiers who had spent weeks in trenches now rose and advanced through smoke, rubble, and the wreckage of the greatest tank battle in history. Standard text. Soviet officers walk confidently from a command headquarters during the counteroffensive. The atmosphere has completely changed from the desperate defensive battles of early July. Now these men coordinate. Massive armored thrusts tearing apart the German front. Soviet operational planning had reached a sophistication that shocked German commanders. The Red Army was no longer the disorganized force that had collapsed so catastrophically in 1941. Standard text. Soviet soldiers move along a railway line during the counteroffensive. Railways were the arteries of the Eastern Front. Whoever controlled them controlled the war. On the night before the Soviet offensive, over 100,000 partisans simultaneously attacked German railways across occupied territory. The destruction was catastrophic for German logistics and defense. Standard text. Abandoned on the open steppe, the Tiger was feared by every Allied soldier. Its 88mm gun and heavy armor made it nearly invincible in open combat. But Tigers were expensive. mechanically complex, and broke down constantly. At Kursk, Soviet tactics neutralized their advantage, attacking flanks and rear where the armor was thinnest. German technological superiority could not overcome Soviet numbers and iron determination. A German Ferdinand tank destroyer lies wrecked on the steppe. Mounting the deadly 88mm gun, it could destroy any Soviet tank at long range. But it had one fatal weakness: no machine gun for close defense. Soviet infantry attacked with grenades and explosives, destroying dozens of these machines. The Ferdinand's failure symbolized the entire German offensive impressive technology, fatally flawed execution. Soviet civilians gather around destroyed German equipment after the battle. For the people of Kursk, the German defeat brings relief, but also the grim task of accounting for losses. Villages destroyed, families torn apart, the landscape scarred beyond recognition. Yet there is pride. Their Red Army stopped the mighty Wehrmacht. After Kursk, both sides knew Germany could not win this war. Standard text. Soviet soldiers prepare for a major operation. The logistical scale of Kursk defies imagination. Over 1 million soldiers, 3,600 tanks, and 20,000 artillery pieces assembled in complete secrecy. German reconnaissance was deliberately misled by Soviet camouflage. When the true scale of Soviet preparation was finally revealed, it was too late. The trap had been perfectly and patiently set. Standard text. Soviet ground attack aircraft fly in formation over the Kursk battlefield. The IL-2, known as the flying tank, was the most produced military aircraft in history. At Kursk, Soviet air power played a decisive role for the first time. The Red Air Force flew thousands of sorties against German tank columns and supply lines. The skies above Kursk belonged to the Soviet Union. Standard text. A Soviet soldier speaks with local women after liberating a village near Kursk. Liberation revealed horrors left behind: executions, starvation, systematic destruction. This soldier represents millions who fought not for ideology, but for their families. Many had received letters describing German atrocities in their hometowns. Personal grief fueled their determination in battle more than any order ever could. Standard text. A young Soviet soldier rests after the liberation of a village near Kursk. He has fought for weeks without pause, through artillery barrages, tank battles, and close infantry combat. He is exhausted, but the village behind him is free. For millions of Soviet soldiers, this moment, a liberated home, a surviving family, was the only victory that truly mattered. Standard text. The Red Army marches westward after the victory at Kursk, and it will not stop. The battle ended in August 1943 with the decisive Soviet victory that shattered Germany's last offensive hopes. The strategic initiative now belonged permanently to the Soviet Union. The soldiers in this photograph are walking toward Berlin, though they do not yet know it. After Kursk, the outcome of the war was never in doubt again. Standard text.